There are some things you wouldn't mind being stuck with, like a large unexpected inheritance. An always on the verge of death phone that has to be plugged in just right so it charges is not one of those things. Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone, up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard, so you can get a new one. Just trade in any phone from our top brands on any unlimited plan. With new line on my plan. Additional terms apply for trade-in and pay off your phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Hikuleo.
I am ELP.
And this is Keeping It Strong Style.
We love you.
Mwah.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review the final Road to the New Beginning show, preview the New Beginning in Osaka, and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Chop Tees store, chop-tees.com/KI Strong Style. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style merchandise. There's free shipping on every order and 10% off your first order. Chop-tees.com/KI Strong Style. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style for IWGP subscribers. If you want access to the weekly live stream, ad-free audio, and bonus content, you can subscribe at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. Young boy, did you watch the Super Bowl yesterday?
Why would I have fucking watched the Super Bowl, bro?
Did you see the halftime show?
Oh yeah, of course I did. I listened to, Kendrick Lamar as he looked dead center into the camera and said, "Say Drake." That shit was funny.
Yeah, it was. It's even funnier is people losing their mind about it on social media today.
Bro, so Megan, I've seen like these really, really strange political takes when it comes to that whole performance. Cause obviously we're in the middle of the post, what's it called? Election, and, tensions are running high in the country. There's a lot of weird, crazy shit going on. And then, I actually kind of thought Kendrick's, I was talking with Rich a little bit about this today, but I thought that his performance was going to be a little bit more politically charged than what it even ended up being. And I mean, certainly there was the imagery there. There was definitely a message. I mean, having all the dancers in the red, white, and blue, and they represented the flag, and Samuel
Uncle
Jackson's
Sam
out there as Uncle Sam. Yeah. So I mean, there's clearly visualization there and everything like that. Like there's the visual representation, but I thought he was going to go in hard, especially like with Trump in the audience.
Yeah.
And he really didn't. But I seen some people on like Twitter on like the left going like looking for these deep meanings and like trying to decode what he was saying. But bro, there's people on the right who are doing the same thing with it, and they think it's all like that. It was like that he was speaking to the far right, and that it was a coded message to basically reaffirm Trump. and it's not like a small contingent. Like there's a lot of people online who like feel that way. Like, because I guess in the beginning there was a video game, and like I saw
right, yeah.
So they're like, he's speaking to the deep state, and he's telling them game over because look, he's standing in the middle of the flag, and who's standing up for this country in the middle of everything? Donald Trump. He's talking to us, you guys. Like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, they sound like some New Japan fans trying to write a storyline for themselves when there's, you know, barely anything there. And we're like, you see Despy, he wore the mask that was split in half with the red and the white, representing the
oh man.
Looking for the symbolism that's not there. I saw one person that was like, they said that all the actors fell down and that they were supposed to be swastikas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like there was an overhead shot, but I'm like, bro, they're not. They're literally not swastikas. Like that would be cool. That would have been a cool thing. But they just looked like bodies on the ground, and they're like, they're swastikas. You see, they're representing the Nazism that's taking over this country. I'm like, dude. People are looking so hard for the only person that got it bad last night was Drake.
Yeah, that man, like he can't show his face in public ever again.
Yeah, when he talked about they like to sue, and then he had Serena Williams crip walking, like holy shit,
game over. Oh man. Well, that
man's never been cooked as bad as when he got shot in Degrassi, you know? Lost his legs.
At least that was worked.
I fucking love Degrassi. I don't care.
Bro, I forgot what summer it was, but there was one summer where I was just like binge watching. It was like on one of those MTV like 4 whatever channels, whatever, and it's replayed all summer.
Was it last summer?
No, going out in high school.
There was like a not too long ago. I mean, a little while back, but like I would like come home and I would like get a little bit high, and then I'd throw back Degrassi. And my wife, a girlfriend at the time, she'd walk in and she's like, "Why the fuck are you watching this kids show still?" And I'd be like, "I like it." Whatever it takes.
Oh man,
it's good shit.
Well, before we jump into New Japan, you got any WWE takes you need to get out?
You know, I got rid of Netflix, so apparently the allure of Monday Night Raw isn't enough to get me to bro. Do you pay like Netflix is so fucking expensive, bro? It's like $20.
Well, I usually do like the ad, like the lowest tier or whatever. But I can't. I get it when there's something I'm interested in that I want to watch. Like if Stranger Things comes out or Cobra Kai, or whatever, like I'll get it for that time period, binge it, and then cancel it again.
I used to try to do that, but like, okay, like I have no problem watching ads on say like Hulu or even Peacock or Tubi, but on Netflix, you know. I lived 15 years without ads on Netflix. I'm not a poor. I'm not going to start paying for the lower tier now. Like, come on. You know what I actually pay for? I won't say the name of it because it's super sketchy, but I pay for an illegal streaming service to just get everything.
Billy?
No. This is some other shit. It's like when the payment goes through, it goes to like, I think Bangladesh. But it's sick because it has like literally almost every movie and every TV show. I mean, one of the bad things about it is like when you're watching TV, if you like stop watching the episode, you're not going to be able to like go back in and, resume where you were at and shit like that. Or like if you don't remember which episode you're on, like you're kind of fucked. But it's still great. Like I'm paying way less and I get everything.
Do you get the Yeet Man?
If I wanted to watch Raw on it, I'm sure I could. Yeah, I don't know. I saw someone on YouTube did not like our our Royal Rumble takes. You know what's funny was like the other day I was talking to Rich about Charlotte and the whole build with her, and I was going off on this rant, and he's like agreeing with everything that I'm saying. And then at one point I was like, and then nobody even knew that Charlotte was coming back. They could have ran a fucking vignette or something. And he was like, they did run vignettes for like weeks. And I was like, I don't know that shit. I don't watch the show.
I saw some on Twitter. It's the only way that I knew that they posted them on Twitter of her comeback.
Yeah, he said the vignettes had her like on a cruise or like on a ship, like a yacht, like talking about what she's gonna do when she comes back and blah blah. He's like, but they're clearly heel vignettes, but she's supposed to come back as a babyface, and then they wonder why she got booed out of the building on live TV when she's talking about overcoming her obstacles and injuries. And I told him, I was like, if they wanted to do it right, they should have shown her in the gym rehabbing from her injury, right? Mm-hmm. With Andrade there, like by her bedside, helping her. I know they split up, but like, back then they were together. And then when she came out for the fucking Royal Rumble, instead of wearing like Ric Flair robes, she should have worn a leather jacket with a cutoff jean vest over the top of it with a sledgehammer. Bro, Triple H has never looked cooler in his whole life than when he came back in 2002. If they gave her if they did vignettes with her like working out her, I don't even know what part of her body was hurt, but like, what was the injury that put her out?
I don't even know.
let's just assume it was her knees, because I'm assuming that like that's probably what it was because doesn't she wear like knee braces? I don't even know.
Couldn't tell you.
But they should have shown her like in the gym working out like her lats and then her quads and shit, whatever, like rehabbing and like fighting through the tears. And then they play like U2's "It's a Beautiful Day." It's a beautiful day. That shit worked for Triple H, and it was a long ass time ago. They could just do that again. And bro, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, Triple H was on his way to become a megastar. But, a month later, he loses to Triple H. So,
Oh, man. All right. Well, let's jump into New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we have...
I want to keep talking about WWE.
We got one...
But not current WWE. More like late 70s, early 80s WWE. That's the sweet spot.
This man want to talk about Bruno.
I want to talk about pre-Vince Jr. WWE. That's the good shit. When Bob Backlund's on top.
You want senior.
Yeah, I like senior. I like the WWF. The worldwide. I roll with the worldwide Fed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. Well, we have a one go-home show here to review from last week from the Road to New Beginning, and then we'll get into the New Beginning in Osaka predictions, and probably by the time most of you listen to this, that show will be airing, so you can see in real time whether we are right or wrong on our predictions when we get to that. But first,
never wrong.
So this Road to New Beginning, this was February 4th last week. This was the 5th televised night. Like I mentioned, the go-home show here in Korakuen Hall. Had an attendance of 1,287, so up from that last one where we had like 928. So a good little house here. Show opened up. We had Daiki Nagai and Togi Makabe defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi and Katsuya Murashima, 8 minutes and 31 seconds. and it served as a preview for Makabe versus Tanahashi in Osaka.
Yeah, a good preview for that upcoming match between Makabe and Tanahashi. Obviously, the history between those two guys really just comes down to when Tanahashi made his debut. Shinya Makabe was already long, tenured on the roster as, the senior to his young lion. He hadn't fully graduated just yet, mind you, but, he was a whole probably year or so, graduate class ahead of Tanahashi. So when Tanahashi came in and made his debut against Shinya Makabe, the former name of Togi Makabe, he just ate shit from that guy for years. Like for years and years, he never beat Makabe. I'm going to talk about it when I do the Tanahashi retrospective, but like when Tanahashi came in, he was wrestling against the likes of like Shibata, who also was kind of a senior to him, but they were still relatively like in the same class, relatively speaking. And he was able to get wins over him. He was able to debuted at the same time as Wataru Inui, and he was able to beat him. But like the one guy that was still like circulating as a lion at that time was Makabe, and he, I don't know, it was like almost 20 something times straight that like Makabe beat that ass. So, we kind of know where their career trajectories took them and everything like that. And now with Tanahashi getting ready to retire, we're gearing up for what's likely the final match. These guys haven't even wrestled since like the G1 in 2018. So it's been a long time since they've even locked horns. And I thought this was a good little preview match. We got to see Murashima and Daiki Nagai, who both locked it up with Tanahashi over the course of this tour as well. And got to see the King Kong knee drop make its return.
Yeah, I thought Tanahashi might have, tried to pad the record some more here, get the pin over the young lion on Makabe's side, but no, they build Makabe up here. He has that big King Kong knee drop onto Murashima to get the win for the team.
In a way, it was padding his record because he's clearly going to beat Makabe. So he needs Makabe to look strong before he lays those shoulders down for the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, but I thought he was going to win this one and win Makabe.
Nah, he needs to make it look like Makabe is on a hot right now.
Yeah,
before he beats him. So
yeah, that hot Makabe winning streak.
Yeah.
So that opening match, good stuff there. Makabe getting the win, and casting a seed of doubt whether or not Tanahashi will win in Osaka. And then moving on.
Maybe he won't.
Yeah, Tanahashi maybe wants to give back,
Lay down for a youngster.
So following that, we had the United Empire team of Francesco Akira, Great Okan, Jacob Austin Young, and Jeff Cobb, defeating El Fantasmo, Jado, Master Wato, and Shota Umino in 7 minutes and 43 seconds. So the final build here for Great Okan and Shota Umino, and then also kind of a residual of the feud with Jeff Cobb and ELP. And also we got some seeds planted for Francesco Akira.
Yeah, Akira, getting on the live English commentary mic and saying that he's got, plans in place and moves that he's going to make, and you're going to see them very soon. And, if you pay attention to that, plus the fact that this man looks like he's on the gas right now.
Yeah, that man looks so jacked. And then, he's been winning a lot of undercard matches. And, he got the win for the team.
Doing his P90X.
He been doing something. But, he gets the win for the team there with the fireball. And then, he seemed kind of frustrated because, I'm tired of these, preview matches. I got something big planned. So obviously that would plant seeds for later on in the evening. And then post-match, we had some more stuff going on between Okan and Umino. Okan cutting up more of the merch, and he cut some hair off of Shota Umino's head. That's kind of the last sights, the last build for that match.
Yeah, there was some, I don't remember if it was a post-match comment or or if it was like more of a an interview, but like Okan was basically alluding to the idea that Shota Umino is pretty much kind of marrying himself and attaching himself to these symbols of the relationship between himself and the audience, while failing to foster the actual true connection and support that they're trying to give to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it kind of alluded to the idea of like, you know, he found all this value in these titles when that the fans had like made for him and given to him, but they were just symbols of what the hopes and aspirations and dreams of those fans were. Like, he wasn't supposed to care so much about the actual paper belts. They were supposed to be placeholders for him to go and win the actual title.
Yeah.
And he failed at that. And so it's like, he's still trying to, I think some of the comments that he made are basically alluding to the idea of like a phoniness to the connection between him and the fans, instead of actually fostering that connection. He's like using symbolic representation to try and showcase, you know, what this connection is when it's not organic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they want to see him win. They want to see him do something that's meaningful.
Yeah, that's why throughout the build you had Great Okan, you know, destroying the dolls, the light sticks, the merch. He's trying to rip up kind of that false sense, that false image of the connection that Umino has with the crowd, and kind of ripping it apart, you know, cutting the hair and kind of really just kind of break Umino down to who he really is and who Okan sees who Umino really is.
And you know what? All of that's really cool, but so often, and sometimes in New Japan, this can be the impetus for a career shift of some sorts or a character change. But sometimes there's no follow-up. Sometimes the guy that really needs that new coat of paint and is getting pushed in that direction by his challenger winds up just winning and changing 0% at all and just continuing down the path that they were in the first place.
Yeah.
So I hope that there is something that the fans can gravitate towards and kind of stick their teeth into when it comes to this entire feud. And I guess we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I get the strange feeling that it's sort of like Okan trying to make, you know, chicken salad out of chicken shit here, basically.
Yeah, he's, you know, has to get some juice to this program, make it interesting, you know, add some kind of stake, some kind of oomph to it. And so, yeah, I think Okan's very good at doing that with all of his feuds. And so, yeah, he probably was like, yeah, you know what, I'll get Umino and I'll try to make it interesting. And so that was the final build for that matchup there. Then following that, we had Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito defeating Bolton Oleg and Tomioka Hanma in 10 minutes and 5 seconds. And Hiromu and Naito also in a collision course with the Young Bucks for the IWGP Tag Team titles coming up in Osaka. And all through this tour, they've been winning tag matches like this to get themselves warmed up and ready.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll do a bit more in-depth preview, but you know, I don't know what there is really to say here. It's I kind of joked last week about the idea that this is a one-sided kind of nothing build, but as time has progressed and there's more and more quiet on the Western side of the equation there, that's what it's really becoming, is just a kind of nothing of a match at this point, honestly. If it weren't for the fact that the names that are involved are all big names, there's really nothing, there's no foundation there whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's what they're kind of carrying off, just off the names and kind of based off of what happened at Wrestle Dynasty. And like we talked about last week, I totally understand that the Bucks are not going to come and work a Korakuen Hall. They're not going to come work, you know, Sendai, Sun Plaza. I get it, but send in video packages and just do stuff kind of making fun of Naito and Hiromu or building the match up. Even do some more like interviews. Like I haven't really seen anything from them like on NJPW1972.com and building up the match. There wasn't much going on there. So I would like to see a little bit more from the Young Bucks here.
Yeah, I mean, it would be one thing if they were semi-regular on any level, right? You know, I guess the best comparison point would be like a Jon Moxley. right? A guy that, he's not always around. He's not doing all the road twos, and he's certainly not, a focal point of the company year in and year out. But when he's in the midst of a feud, he does just enough to add a little bit of something to it, to where whether that is something online or, more appropriately, it's usually going to be some sort of video vignette or interview or something. So at least there's something there. But the fact of the matter is they aren't even part-timers, really. They're at this point like non-presences in the company at all. So it's even more needed to have something to build the match. And it's just going to happen. And very likely what's going to happen is they're probably just going to move those titles over to Hiromu and Naito, because they need them to have the belts so that they can draw off of it. And then the question you're going to be asking yourself is like, why the fuck did the Young Bucks win this in the first place?
Well, unless they're winning.
They might, but even if they do, then what's the point? I'm not even an advocate saying they need to come work, the tours or anything, but there needs to be some level of promotion or of contribution to the company in some way to where it matters, but it doesn't matter because they're not here. And I don't know if that's a them thing or if that's a New Japan thing or an AEW thing, but from the fan perspective, it's just, it's lacking. It really doesn't make for any sort of compelling scenario for when you'd want to see these guys wrestle again, no matter how great they are.
Yeah. And I mean, we love the Young Bucks. I think the Young Bucks are awesome. I think they're one of the greatest tag teams of all time, but I still want them to, build this matchup. Like, give me a reason why we should care about this match besides it just being a rematch and, two teams with two big names or big names on each side. Like, give us a little something to chew on here.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if it was, if we were complaining about like, hey, they only did XYZ and that's not enough. That's not what we're complaining about. We're like, they didn't do anything. We already, like, the whole tour's over. We went through the whole go home and there was nothing,
Yeah, give us a lights out video package, something.
Anything. It doesn't, bro. I'd settle for a tweet. Send a tweet out. They didn't fucking tweet nothing. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah. So that's that. Following that, we had the War Dogs team of Sanada and Taiji Ishimori defeating Taichi and Taka by disqualification in 1 minute and 59 seconds. So this was pretty much just a follow-up from the Korakuen before, where Sanada faked the low blow from Taichi to get the disqualification. And this time, Taichi just went ahead and just gave him the low blow for real, got the disqualification, and was kind of going crazy there and beating up Sanada post-match and kind of losing his cool here. Referees trying to separate him, Taka trying to hold him back, and Taichi was just not having it.
Yeah, I'm getting bad vibes from this program.
Why?
I guess we'll do the preview, so we'll talk more about it. But I'm just not getting a sense of clear, definitive direction in terms of where either of these two guys are going.
They're staying in the middle. That's what's happening with them.
Well, I feel like the deal is Taichi probably at this point deserves to have somewhat of an opportunity to try. Like, let's try him out in some, I understand that he's never going to be the top end of this company, right? It's not in the cards for him.
Yeah.
And over the years, they definitely did a level of elevation to get him to be, I guess, a mid-card worker. Because I almost want to say upper mid-card, but like, he's not an upper mid-card. Sometimes he's been lower mid-card, but they've kind of just slow rolled him. He's like stuck at this one particular plateaued level. And then you've got Sanada, who is a guy that they did try with, and it failed miserably. And there's no more juice to squeeze out of that rock. So where are we going? Like, desperately, Sonata, if they're going to rehab him, he probably does need the win. But then that is a signifier to me that after all this time, all the many times that they probably should have been doing something with Taichi and they didn't, now KOPW is gone and he's not really like vying for the Never title. If he loses here, it feels very much like a signifier, like, hey, you're this old, been here this long, you got your run. And I don't know, maybe it almost feels like it could be a send-off, especially with how Just Four Guys feels like something of an afterthought. But I don't know if we should be doing that to a guy as talented as him for Sonata.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it more in the preview, but yeah, I just
don't see the upside.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it seems like Sonata is the one they want to still push. He has a new coat of paint. He's a part of the War Dogs now, and they're doing this whole new character with him. But when you look at both guys, it's like, yeah, who would you rather, put your stock in, your bets on, who's going to be a better performer? And it's like, all signs point towards Taichi from the match output, the connection with the crowd. He always goes out there and delivers, and Sonata has failed time and time again, no matter how many chances he gets, no matter how many gimmick changes he gets. So yeah, you would think you would go with Taichi, but here's a guy that they didn't put in G1 last year, a guy that's been kind of relegated, like you mentioned, to that KOPW kind of position at times. It got main events, but it was very much a very low card title. A guy that's in one of the quote unquote lower factions, so they don't really give him a lot to work with. So it wouldn't really surprise me if their whole thing is, this is another, we're just using Taichi, the stepping stone, to help us rehab Sonata.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm okay with Taichi being used in that manner. Just, I don't see the use in doing that for Sonata at this point.
Yeah.
And I also feel like they could be getting more out of their use of Taichi. Again, I don't see him being a world title champion, caliber guy. I don't even know necessarily if I see him as being like a white belt champion, although I don't know. I wouldn't put it 100% that he couldn't potentially, have a successful run with that title. But I just think there's more that could have and should be done with him up to this point. And time and time again, they choose not to do it.
Yeah. So then following that, we had more Bullet Club War Dogs in action. We had Clark Connors, Drill Maloney, and Gabe Kidd versus Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Yuta Tsuji. And they wrestled to a double countout in 6 minutes and 43 seconds. So we had Drilla hitting the big Drilla Killa to Shingo on the outside, had the 20 count. These guys are fighting all over the arena. Gabe, Kidd, and Tsuji get back in the ring, trade chops, and then Gabe lays out Tsuji with the big pile driver. So this is the final build up here for Gabe and Tsuji, and then Drilla and Shingo.
Yeah, very excited for both matches, and I feel like I've said that every time we've been on the show discussing all of this. And the preview matches have been a good promotional build. I wouldn't say that the matches have been blow away, but they've done a good enough job to kind of like wet the palate. But this was the first kind of really visceral, sort of outrageous feeling level of violence for the preview matches, and it got out of hand, and we really kind of saw things boil over here, which was nice to see with these two particular matches that are highly anticipated and really do need to kind of deliver coming into the new beginning. So I liked that. I thought that this was a great way to kind of set us off.
Yeah, I thought it was it was essentially pretty much almost an angle, essentially, just under 7 minutes. I thought it was a great thing to kind of get that last final build, that last heat, having, Drilla lay out Shingo, and then Gabe and Tsuji brawling, and Gabe getting the upper hand there on Tsuji. So a lot of good stuff here to get heat.
Yeah, and, it's about heat, right? Because it's not, Wits Collection says, this is the match I'm looking forward to. Which one?
I think he means Gabe and Tsuji, I think.
I think he's talking about Shingo and
Drilla?
Maloney. Yeah, so how would we know?
Let us know.
We both think we don't know.
Let us know.
But like I was saying, it's always about heat. You know, the wrestling doesn't matter. The in-ring doesn't matter. What matters is stories. And promos.
Yes, moments.
And moments. What was going on online where people were arguing about the difference between stories and Shingo Drilla? Oh,
you're right.
Shingo Drilla. I was joking. Yeah. No. What was that deal online? People were arguing about that or something.
I don't know. There's always the ever going battle of, AEW does too many matches and WWE does storytelling and focuses on story and moments. So I don't know how it got started again, but yeah, there was a whole back and forth on, do you like wrestling with more storytelling versus more action and blah, blah, blah. The normal kind of debate.
Wrestling is storytelling.
Right. And I think it was Swerve who had a tweet that was similar to that, kind of explaining
No, I saw Swerve's tweet and his tweet was fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Listen, I saw his tweet and it said in-ring supports he said something like in-ring supports the stories and the out the ring stories support the in-ring. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, but that's basically what he's saying. Makes it sound like the match isn't the story. The stories that happen outside of the ring support what's happening in the match, and then the match is supposed to support the story. But it's like they're one and the same. There is no delineation between what is happening inside the ring itself and what's happening outside of it. It's all the story.
Right. And the match itself is a story, and then the match...
It is the story. The wrestling is the story. Look, I understand that people like to hear people talk, and they like to see entertaining skits, and they like to see, all the stuff in between. But at the end of the day, it's about individuals going inside of a ring and fighting one another. That's the story.
Yeah,
and then the in-ring is full of stories. You just have to be watching the good wrestling where the stories are good.
Yeah, and then you have a lot of the big podcast media guys that are supporting that whole. Yeah, it's all about the promos and the storylines and everything that happens outside of the ring, and it's kind of that mentality of the wrestling is just a vehicle to get you to the next promo. When essentially, like you said, the wrestling is the story. Yes, the promos and all that stuff helps the backstage attacks, all that stuff builds up to the rivalry. But at the end of the day, the end goal is to get two guys in the ring and settle their beef.
Bro, it's very simple. If that's what you like, you shouldn't watch wrestling. You should just watch Breaking Bad or... I don't know, a reality TV show, The Bachelor, Love Island, Survivor. Go watch Jerry Springer or Ricky Lake or whatever the fuck daytime reality TV shows. That's what you should be watching, because there are better versions, a million times better versions of it that exist out there where you don't have to deal with the pesky wrestling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can go watch The Boys. That's a great show. They got great characters. They wear spandex. Go watch.
They don't got the Yeet Man on there though.
No, but you could watch Cobra Kai's basically pro wrestling. Just go watch that. You don't have to watch pro wrestling if you don't like pro wrestling. We don't. And then the funny thing is, the same people who claim that it's not about the wrestling. Anytime anything quasi good happens in their company, they devour it and proclaim it to be the greatest thing that has ever happened, when in fact it's not even the best thing that's happened that day in the wrestling world, much less ever. So it's all fake. They should just watch New Japan, because that's where the good wrestling is.
Yeah, but they gotta get their hour-long entrances and promo videos and commercials in between matches. They have to have that, Josh.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You could, if you want to watch a good version of that, go watch like ECW in 1995. That shit's amazing. And there's very little wrestling.
Well, let's move on to the semi-main event here. We had the Chaos team of Hirooki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Yo, and Yoshihashi defeating TMDK's Hartley Jackson, Robbie Eagles, Rei Oiwa, and Zack Sabre Jr. in 11 minutes and 22 seconds. So the final build here for Zack Sabre and Goto, and then also Robbie Eagles there with Yo. Him and Fujita will be defending against Roppongi Revice. So building up those matches there. Then also a little post feud here with Yoshihashi and Oiwa as well.
No Rocky, eh?
Big Rock, he's busy in Mexico, and he has to fly back to America. He's got an office job there. He's a busy man. He's got to just stop in MLW every once in a while. He's got a lot of stuff going on.
So if he wins the tag titles, is he going to disappear like the Young Bucks, and we're going to have no tag team champion? Who's the strong champions right now?
World Class Wrecking Crew.
We're going to have to rely on World Class Wrecking Crew to carry the entire division by themselves, single-handedly. That's just going to be on ice.
Yeah. So what do you think here of the final build-up here for these upcoming matches?
Kind of like your standard 8-man tag, but like on the high-end level for a road to. Everybody hits their shit. Everybody gets in, big schmas, blah, 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 blah. It's New Japan does this very well, and when called upon, all of these guys involved, they all get to kind of get their shit in. It's a really good showcase for what's coming. I think there's some good matches that they previewed here, and I don't have too much more to say about it, but this was probably a standout match of the evening for the undercard.
Yeah, once again, another highlight of Ishii and Hartley Jackson mixing it up from their last time in the Korakuen multi-man, and yeah, they just have great chemistry, and I'm really digging Hartley Jackson when he brings to the table for TMDK. And then towards the end of the match here, you had Bishamon hitting the Shoto on Hartley Jackson, Yoshihashi picking up the pinfall there. So the Chaos side kind of going with the last momentum going into Osaka. So Goto getting the last momentum shift there over ZSJ heading into Osaka.
I would like to see Hartley Jackson bust out a moonsault.
Hey, maybe he will.
If Vader and Kenta Kobashi could do it, I believe in Hartley Jackson. I think Bam Bam did it. I think it would do wonders for his career.
Oh man,
hey, imagine seeing that big man fly.
That'd be pretty dope,
bro. If he does that shit, he's gonna be like number one, foreigner for the year in New Japan.
Yeah,
Zach who?
Yeah, so good stuff here building up that match, and then that takes us to the main event where we had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Title on the line. El Desperado retains and defeats the Japanese young punk Kosei Fujita in 23 minutes and 30 seconds. Young boy, there's been a lot of discussion online about this match. A lot of people heaping a ton of praise. Big Dave went 4.75 on this matchup. A lot.
Wait, what? He went 4 points. He went 4.75.
Yes,
bro.
Yeah. Dan Coffin says chops.
Dan Coffin chops.
But yeah, Big Dave 4.75.
What did he give Brett Bulldog? That's what I want to know. I think he gave that 4.25.
So
just saying.
So I'm assuming you do not think this was a 4 3/4 matchup.
It's fine. Like, I wouldn't even judge some people if they did that. It's Dave. Like, I kind of do judge Dave for giving, because I feel like to a certain extent I speak Dave, but as time's gone on, Dave's getting some Dave-flation going on, and I don't know, man. That seems a little high for him, but I liked the match quite a bit. Maybe not quite that much, and I'm pretty much unplugged offline these days. not gonna be able to find me on Facebook or well, actually, my accounts still exist on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm not actively on them, so I don't know what the fuck's going on, and I'm barely on Twitter, so I don't know about all the discourse. But I will say this: I thought the match was great, but how great? I guess that's what we're all kind of arguing about. Really, everyone seems to think the match is really great, but some people are saying it's a match of the year contender, and I personally didn't see it that way.
Yeah, I think we rated the match the same, 4.25. I thought
which is a great score.
Yeah, I thought it was a great main event. I think I was hurt a little bit because we had a lot of people hitting us up throughout the day telling us how great the match was. I saw some people being like, "Yeah, this is right up there with Gabe and Kenny Omega." And once I saw that,
oh shit, really?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, like this must have been like an incredible matchup. And I think partly for me is like I was sitting there watching the match, waiting for it to get to that next level, and they just didn't, which is fine. Like I think for a Korakuen Hall main event, this was great, and they told a great story of Fujita being that young up and comer and taking it to Despy, like Dan was saying, the chops, bringing the chops to Despy, the big chop exchange, and using that blend of the high flying he's learned from Robbie Eagles and the techers that he learned from Zack Sabre Jr. to try to keep up with Despy. And of course, Despy running his game plan, working over the knee and legs, and also the shoulder there for kind of multiple points of attack.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it's exactly this type of match because it's not exactly like this, but there are some similarities to if you were ever a big fan of, like, say, Ric Flair in the 80s, right? And he was the touring champion and he'd go fight, whoever it is, the up and comer who is the top babyface in whatever company, whether that's Terry Taylor or Kerry Von Erich or Barry Windham or Butch Reed, doesn't matter who it is. He would go in and they would be gung-ho and ready to kind of take it to him and show that they're ascended and that they're on his level. And he would always find a way to kind of counteract what they were doing, cut them off and exploit a weakness. And I think that, and kind of be the veteran who was able to use his wiles and overcome the power or speed or agility deficit that he's facing going up against a younger, faster, or stronger opponent. That's kind of what happened here with Despy. Despy, obviously, at this point is like the ace of the junior division. I know a lot of people still kind of want to say it's Hiromu, but for a while now, we've been in that transitionary phase, and I feel like it's kind of been like a 1A, 1B sort of situation, but we're being truthful with ourselves. It's probably Despy. And I think the undoing for Fujita was his shoulder. It was all taped up. He had issues with it in the past. That became the story of the match. Fujita was able to cut him off on the outside and utilize his attacks there. And then from that, he was able to kind of center his attacks on the entire side of the body, not just isolating the shoulder, but also focusing on the knees and trying to get him prepped for like potentially a
numero dos.
Yeah, the numero dos. And so it's like this guy's struggling with his shoulder. He's struggling with getting his wheels underneath him. And like you said, he was still able to go to the well, show his toughness, bring the fight to Despy, pull out a few tricks that maybe El Desperado wasn't expecting, that he picked up from his stablemates. The crowd was very into the match and excited. I especially loved, there was one point where the visuals of the match where you saw that up in the rafters, there's a bleach blonde TMDK leader overseeing the match from afar. And you're like, oh, he's Zach's observing what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then he was able to pull out one of Zach's, I don't know all the names, all the crazy ass names he has for his finishers, but he pulled out his Zack Sabre Jr. style submission where he had all the limbs tied up, and it looked like, holy shit, like he might be on the verge of pulling this one out here. Mm-hmm. And never mind the fact that there are these other kind of like farther reaching lore sort of stories that exist under the surface when it does come to Zack and his history with Suzuki-gun and that connection with Desperado, but him now being with TMDK and like being the mentor for Fujita. And so these two guys kind of having that same similar experience to sort of draw off of, guys that they've teamed up with in common to one another. So I thought all that was very interesting, but at the end of the day, the attacks that Desperado, they paid dividends and were the undoing for Fujita, and why he wasn't able to kind of capitalize and put Desperado away, and Desperado was able to, hit the double Pinche Loco to pick up the 1-2-3 in a pretty emphatic fashion. And I thought it was a really good title defense. I thought it was a great match and worked really well. Great story. I liked it a lot better than Desperado and Taiji Ishimori from America. But, I don't want to say anything. I don't really have anything negative to say about the match other than, for me, it didn't hit that next gear that I think some people are, maybe for others it did,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the closing stretch was really good. You had Vegeta hitting a German for a near fall, Despy busting out a modified cutter, more chop exchanges. You had Despy getting the crank there on the left arm and set up the Pinche Loco. He went for a second one, but Vegeta blocked that one, got a roll up for a great near fall. And Despy hit the second Pinche Loco and got the win there. So, yeah, really good closing stretch, and I thought Vegeta looked good, showed a lot of fire, had a lot of great high-flying stuff like the Acai moonsault and some of the dives he was doing, and then also, like you mentioned, really showcasing a lot what Zack taught him, getting that near submission there and kind of wrapping up all the limbs. And, yeah, like I said, I thought it was a really great Korakuen main event, and clearly it was a good draw. This is one of the better drawing Korakuens of the tour, so clearly, you have that star power in Desperado and giving that shine to Kosei Fujita. But like you said, it just didn't hit that next gear for me. When I heard 4 3/4 and people saying, it's near match of the year level, I was expecting to see, Despy's mask rip, double juice, some really crazy stuff. And it just, they didn't pull all that out. I think there's definitely a better match in the chamber probably between these two, and to build off of this match and this story. But for what they did this night, I thought it was a great match for this evening.
Yeah, I don't even think that there's anything to really criticize about the match, because it did what it needed to do. We've never really seen Fujita in this particular spot in the main event, challenging for the title up against an established star, and I thought that he was successful. He didn't come off to me. We've seen, and I guess this is where I wanted to take the direction of this conversation, because it's a thought that I had. In the post-Hiromu era, we've seen a lot of domestic stars try to elevate within the junior division, and for one reason or another, they're never able to kind of get to that point. I'm not ready to crown Fujita right now, this very moment, and say, like, this proved it, he's the heir apparent. But I thought it was a great kind of step in the right direction to show that he's on that track to potentially getting there, provided the right opportunities are given to him and he capitalizes on them. What they say is like luck is when like preparation meets opportunity,
Yeah.
And hopefully he's lucky. But the thought that I had watching this was, has there ever been anybody in the junior division in the modern times, like, and I'm talking about like post Wrestle Kingdom 9, that was a domestic junior in New Japan, that got closer to being that guy without ever actually getting to that point than Sho?
I can't think of it. I think, yeah, that's probably the closest. Had they kept Sho on the current track that he was on pre, heel turn, pre House of Torture, I feel like he could have been the ace of the junior division.
Yeah, like, to me, it felt like there were so many times where Sho would go out there and he would knock it out of the park, and you're like, this is going to be the guy. and it just never happened. And now I think for me, he's the litmus test. Is this person beyond where Sho was at his peak? Because I don't think you can get any closer without also failing.
Yeah, Sho was succeeding so much that he was already, blending into the openweight division and having that feud with Shingo and some of the heavyweights and stuff like that. And so, yeah, they put a lot of stock in Sho, and that post-COVID run and a lot of that single stuff he was doing, which was really, really great. A lot of Super Juniors. He had a great 2019 Super Juniors, and yeah, they throw it all away.
And this isn't to say that the junior division isn't doing well right now. They absolutely, I think they are.
We actually have a question here that lends to that. Rambone says, with the relative strength of the junior division, including Fujita, Eagles, Clark Connors, Wato, and others, is it finally time for El Desperado to move to heavyweight after this current title reign?
I don't think so, because I don't think they have a star ready to go unless they're ready to go all in on Doki, and if he's back and healthy. And my understanding is it's going to be a long time before he's back. And without either Desperado or Hiromu holding the fort down, I don't think that division can really afford it.
Yeah, especially if you're building your Super Juniors tour in May, like you have to have some names that are gonna headline throughout that tour, and other like this Korakuen we just had. You had Desperado was able to headline and draw a nice house here. So who do you put in that spot that can draw like that? If it is not Desperado, if it's not Hiromu, and they just haven't gotten a guy to that level yet, and maybe one day it will be Kosei Fujita, maybe one day it could be Master Wato. And, they're working on trying these guys, but I think it's going to take some time to fully establish one of these up-and-comers as a drawing name like Desperado and Hiromu.
Like, for me, I guess, if I were to look at the domestic juniors, and obviously, like, always been a little bit more international in flair in terms of how many non-domestic stars they have, but at the end of the day, they still have to have like an established domestic star. That's like a necessity for them. And the only guys that I ever feel like maybe got to a top end level in the past like decade would be like El Desperado. And then I'm very iffy on both of these guys, but maybe depending on your view, maybe you would include Taiji Ishimori, and maybe you would include Doki. And I feel like it's almost like Doki had an incredible run. Don't get me wrong, but like it might even still be too early to say like they are 100% still going to be solid behind him when he comes back. Because I don't know if it was just a good run or if that was a true long-term elevation.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did beat, the three big names in the division, beating Hiromu, Despi, and Taiji Ishimori. And so I think if you do that, like regardless if he ever wins the belt again, I feel like his stats is elevated, and he's a guy you can always use as a challenger. And I think it would be smart for them to, continue to kind of push him towards that level once he comes back.
Like for me, I don't know. I've never really believed that Taiji Ishimori was really realistically at that same level in terms of stature or like acceptance within the crowds as like Desperado and Hiromu,
Mm-hmm.
And there's been quite a few guys that they've tried to go with, whether that's Sho, whether that's Yo, Wato, that it just hasn't quite worked out up to this point, So for me, it's sort of like, for me to believe that someone is like truly arrived, they kind of have to be past, where Sho was. And I think Fujita can get there. I'm not I guess I've never really said this out loud on the show, but maybe now's the time to address it. I'm not really a Desperado guy.
I feel like you've mentioned that previously, but
like I might have said it, like, remember when they were first proclaiming him like junior ace, and I was like, well, sure. It's not exactly Will Ospreay. It's not exactly Kota Ibushi that we're dealing with here. This isn't Tiger Mask, but and this will probably get flack because there are people that love Desperado, and I feel like for someone to go super high end on that match, maybe for them if you really love that character and you're really, really, really into the lore of El Desperado, then then it might resonate with you a bit more. And don't get me wrong, I feel like I'm pretty even. I give Desperado his props. I do think he's a bona fide star. I think he's got a cool look. I think he's a very good wrestler, but his style of wrestling doesn't really excite me or connect with me. And I'm not in love with the Despy lore like some people are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just not really my guy.
I like him a lot, but he's not. I wouldn't consider him one of my favorites. He's not a guy that you throw his name on the paper. I'm running to go see him wrestle. But I do think he's a great wrestler, and I do enjoy his matches. But I'm just not in that die hard Despy camp.
Right, and there are people out there that wholeheartedly, legitimately think he is, in their personal opinion, amongst or maybe even the greatest wrestler in the world today, and the most unheralded guy out there. And I don't see him that way. I think he's, for this appointed time, the right person to kind of carry the torch for the junior division. But I don't consider him I don't see him Great Sasuke or Ultimo Dragon.
Yeah.
Or one of the all-time great juniors that has ever lived. I just don't see him that way.
Yeah. And, not everybody's going to get there, but I think, for this generation, he's great. And he's built his name up to be a draw, to be able to pack Korakuen Halls and main event Dominion. So he's definitely done a lot. But yeah, I do think that depending on how much you like him, there are higher levels that people hold him towards.
That's another thing too. I wasn't paying too much close attention to the business side of this, but the numbers that New Japan did during these last few Korakuen shows, while not abysmal, really they're quite shy from what they have historically done in Korakuen Hall, which is kind of interesting considering how hot the ticket is for this new beginning. And where are they, in Osaka?
Osaka, yeah. Eddieland Arena.
Yeah, that ticket is super hot. They've had to expand it. They're at max sellout, but the Korakuens haven't done too well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that both Noah and All Japan have done pretty well in Korakuen around the same time recently. And maybe, I don't know if that's affecting the ticket sales for New Japan. I don't know.
Maybe. I think Stardom had a sellout also. So yeah, a lot of promotions have been doing some big numbers in Korakuen throughout this month. And so yeah, I don't know if that's a combination of that and, maybe guys like Zack Sabre Jr. not being a full-on draw yet. Clearly this was one of the better houses here with Desperado being in the main event with a title match. And like we talked about too, there's a lot of repetitiveness with this tour, even because there was 4 Korakuen shows on this tour, and so even with all those Korakuens, you had a lot of similar multi-man stuff, very few title matches. So I think that probably could have hurt it too.
Yeah, just interesting stuff. I think it's something to keep track of and keep our eyes on. Yeah. Do we have anything we want to talk about before we jump into this review?
Yeah. So post match, we had Francesco Akira. Coming out to, Despy did his promo. They shot the confetti off, but then Akira's music hit, alluring to what he was saying earlier in the night, and he challenged Desperado for the title. And Desperado saying, why aren't you asking TJP for permission? Something along the lines of that, which got Akira very mad and pushed Desperado, and had a pull apart, and they had to pull Akira back, and then the match got made official for the anniversary show. So we're not going to get the heavyweight champ versus junior champ. It will be El Desperado defending against the Nova Fireball Francesco Akira.
Yeah, I was very surprised to hear that they're doing that instead of the more traditional, champion versus champion match. But, it's probably a good break from tradition because, I'm not the biggest fan of the champion versus champion match anyways. It's always like kind of a placeholder. It's not going to lead anywhere.
You know who's going to win.
And you know who's going to win. Right. Unless there's a really compelling match on the table, it doesn't really light my world on fire. But
well, I mean, a lot of people were hoping for Despy versus Zack.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't be mad at Goto versus Zack, but Goto versus Despy. But I kind of felt like they should have maybe had Francesco Akira look a little bit stronger here, because I had, for some reason, I'd seen the photo of the attack before I actually watched the match, and I saw him on top of Desperado, and I was like, oh shit, he left him laying. What a badass. Then I watched it, and like, he wasn't top of him, but at the end of the day, they were both still standing tall and kind of just broken apart. And I was like, I don't know, he just went to war with Fujita. He probably should have got fucking laid out, maybe left bloody. That would have been cool. Yeah,
kind of showed that edge for Akira. Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind how they did it, but yeah, I think if you want to really give him some more steam, have him lay Despy out, hold the belt over him, and that kind of be your last
hit him
sight.
With his fucking finisher or whatever.
Yeah. But I'm very excited, though, for Akira as the next challenger, and this was something we mentioned a few weeks ago. It's like, now that these guys are not in the current tag picture, you can break off some of these guys and go as singles, and I think Akira is super talented, and, there's a whole story there of him and Desperado from Super Juniors last year, where Akira got hurt. And so I think, he's come back, he's rebuilt. Like you mentioned, he's looking jacked. I think I'm very excited for this matchup.
Well, how about the Super Juniors the year before that, where that was like one of the breakout performances for Francesco Akira going up against Desperado. And that was, I feel like people might have forgotten a bit about that match just because it happened in the haze of of Super Juniors. It's like in the middle of the tournament, but that match really was awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, this should be a fun title match, kind of a fresh title match. So looking forward to that.
I hope they tell a good story before they wrestle.
Yeah, hopefully there's a lot of promos and segments.
A lot of good story stuff. Yeet. Yeet.
One question here before we jump to the preview and predictions. Discord Daddy says, question about the Road to New Beginning. Is it me, or does having a bunch of days off before a major event feel like taking the foot off the gas a little bit? What is the ideal distance between a Road to and a premium live event? And related, how would you plan your tour? I thought the booking for these Road to shows were good, with title matches and a special singles match.
Weekly episodic television every Monday night in primetime is what I would do. Followed by one monthly pay-per-view on Sunday nights. It's a dumb question, obviously.
Yeah, I think, though, I get what he's saying, but there were a ton of non-televised Road to shows.
A lot.
So for the domestic fans, I mean, yeah, there were shows up until this weekend leading up to the show. So, I mean, obviously from a Western standpoint, we're not seeing all that. So this show here was the last thing we saw, and we just kind of rely on like promos and interviews and the press conference to kind of keep that momentum going. So I don't know. I think it's a fine balance of how many of these things you televise, especially when they're so repetitive.
I'd like to see a news show where Walker Stewart sits behind a desk and recaps the ongoings of the untelevised Road to shows in the farm cities, Yeah,
I mean, that could be a cool like YouTube feature.
No, it should be behind a paywall, only on New Japan World. You gotta pay for that kind of content.
Yeah.
Turn it on. You find out this week. Taichi and Sonata wrestled each other 6 times in tag team action.
Yeah.
You only saw one of them, but it happened 5 more times, and they were all the same.
They all ended in a DQ.
Bro, I used to like read like different wrestling magazines growing up because I had a huge collection of them, like that were vintage, and they would have the live fan reports, and I didn't fully understand the nature of like the wrestling business back then, especially like before like the Monday Night Wars and everything. I'd go and I'd see like Hulk Hogan or Ultimate Warrior beat Andre the Giant 15 times last month. And every single time he beat him with a body slam and a splash in less than 2 minutes. This is crazy. How is this not? They'd have the results in the magazine and they would tell you, they're like, yeah, he beat him in Boston, beat him in Waukesha, he beat him in Tampa. You're like, the fuck? Like, why are they letting Andre get beat like a drum like this?
Man's getting buried.
I didn't understand that they would just do the same match touring all around, the country.
Right.
And it was a loop. I had no idea.
Yeah. But back to the score, Dad's question real quick. I would say, like, I think this road to, I mean, there were some good title matches sprinkled in, but I do think we mentioned there could have been some more variety. And, like, I would have done stuff where, like, you put, like, Zack and Goto in singles matches against some of their stablemates. Like, you do, like, Goto versus Hartley Jackson and do Zack versus Yoshihashi. Do stuff like that where it's not just these two guys facing off a multi-mans, but you have them facing off against each other's faction mates and kind of building up singles wins in that way to kind of just change the card up a little bit.
I like to see a Russian chain match on this tour.
It's that something like a dog collar match?
No, it's a Russian chain match. It's different. It's tight. Bro, I'm like deliriously tired. Like, I don't know how to answer this question. I'm like, how would I book the territory? I don't know.
All right, then. Well, let's move into the new beginning in Osaka 2025 preview and predictions. This will be happening February 11th from the Edion Arena, Osaka. We got one kickoff match that was added. It's going to be El Desperado and Katsuya Murashima taking on Francesco Akira and Jeff Cobb. So starting the build for Akira and Despi for the anniversary show.
And this could be the exodus of Jeff Cobb from the company. So look for him to tap out to the Boston Crab from Katsuya Murashima on the way out. If he gets tapped out with the Boston Crab, we know it's game over for him.
Dude, what if they did do that?
Speaking of which, I just want to say, I'm a big fan of Jeff Cobb. I love the guy. Great performer, great guy. Just fucking atrocious on the mic. Like, so fucking bad. If there's one thing that I could criticize about that Desperado and Fujita match was how piss poor like Jeff Cobb was on the mic. And I don't even know if I don't even think he could or would take offense to that. I don't know him personally, but like he's clearly just fucking riffing. He's doing like Jesse the Body Ventura imitations, like
Monsoon.
It's like, remember that one match in the Tokyo Dome and they chopped each other? I can't remember what it is. I was like, man, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Like if I was on the mic, it's like that level.
Yeah, should have got Hartley Jackson back in there.
But preview.
Yeah, I think clearly the UE side's going to get the win here with the Young Lion on the side. So, yeah, should be
pretty sure Murashima is going to take a tour of the islands. What's probably going to happen there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then the main show will kick off with Hiroshi Tanahashi's final road, a kinship match, as Hiroshi Tanahashi will take on Togi Makabe. Their singles record, 22-14-1 in favor of Makabe.
Yeah. So, we did I talked briefly earlier about the history between these two guys. No need to kind of repeat, but a lot of history. Not only their time as Young Lions, but, they had some pivotal matches over like the IWGP title, G1 matches. Makabe was the first guy that Tanahashi beat for a singles title in New Japan when he won the U30, which is like, if you're listening, you don't know what the U30 is, go Google it. But that was like the original, let's try to get this guy over belt at the time. And that was kind of a big, stepping stone in the right direction for Tanahashi. And I could be wrong here. I think that might have been the first time he ever beat Makabe in one-on-one action. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. But in either case, a lot of history here, and kind of fitting that it's like the first significant singles match on Tanahashi's, year-long retirement tour. I don't anticipate anything out of this world, but it'll probably be emotional. And I think they'll both put in their best efforts, and it should be decent.
Yeah, with a sold-out crowd, I think there's going to be a lot of emotion going into this match, like you said. And yeah, also, I don't expect any kind of a blow-away match, but it should be really fun. Expecting Tanahashi to get the win here in his retirement road here. Big high fly flow on Makabe.
No, the best finish would be Makabe goes up for the King Kong knee. Tanahashi kips up, drop kicks him in the knee in midair, and then fucking puts him in the cloverleaf and taps his ass out. But it has to happen in, like, literally as he's on the top, like Tanahashi kip up, drop kick, boom, Maybe he catches the knee and gives him a fucking dragon screw.
On the way down?
on the way down midair.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, Tanahashi has been using the cloverleaf, especially on this tour, being all three young lions. So maybe that was kind of the breadcrumbs that he's going to use that to win this matchup here.
Remember in 2019 when we were going to the G1 in Dallas, and this dude Tanahashi had said he was going to stop doing the high fly flow. And he started using that like final cut Big Show finish, and it was just shitty. It looked so bad, and we're like, I hope he comes up with something better. He's like, I'm just going to keep high fly flowing for the next 6 years.
Yeah, who needs knees anyways?
Yeah, I don't need my knees.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
I think Foley's doing okay.
Yeah. So that'll be that. Then following that, we got a first-time singles matchup here with the Dragon Shingo Takagi taking on 44 caliber Drilla Maloney.
This one is this is a big test for Drilla Maloney, and I'm looking forward to it. I think that if anybody can kind of bring out the best in him in this particular, junction of his career, it's Shingo Takagi. I don't know what to expect in terms of the win. I sort of suspect that Shingo will win. But I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I think you can go either way. I guess it all depends on what the booking is. I mean, I totally can see Shingo winning. Obviously, he's a more established guy, the main eventer. You do have New Japan Cup coming up, so if you want him going in strong with that tournament, I totally get having Shingo get the win here. But on the other hand, you do have the opportunity to establish Drilla as a credible threat, as a new heavyweight, and somebody that can be a potential mover and shaker in the heavyweight division for the rest of this year. And New Japan is in the shift of pushing younger and newer guys, and clearly this was a big step here to kind of have him, to break off the team with him and Clark and to go heavyweight. So if you do want to make a new guy, I mean, you could have him get the win here on Shingo, and Shingo could always get the win back in New Japan Cup or G1 some point later on in the year. So I would be fine either way, but if you want to establish somebody new, I think Drilla is the call to go with here.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I think at this point, Shingo, can he deal with a singles loss under his record? Yeah, he'd be perfectly fine, and he'd recover from it. Great, but there is something to be said about winning a major singles match in this sort of environment versus, like, say, a G1, a tournament match. There's so many variables, or even, like, let's say a New Japan Cup, right? Mm-hmm. Those to me are the places where first time up and coming heavyweight, where you're trying to give them a rub, but you don't need to necessarily follow up on it immediately. It's just a signifier. That's where those types of wins happen more often. If it happens here, that's like really saying, like, this dude's done, no longer junior. Not only is he a heavyweight, but, like, we gave him a big win over one of the most respected, competitors in the company, former champion, in multiple divisions, world champion. And they sort of got to follow up on it. The only problem with that is you also need to follow up with David Finlay and Sonata and Gabe Kidd, all in the heavyweight division, all War Dogs, all at the same time. I just don't see that really happening. I think the most likely scenario, this is just my prediction, really, really solid outing, first time at heavyweight against, like I said, one of the most respected guys. He loses, but he does really, really, really well. Probably think of it all akin to, like, the times where we've seen, like, Hinare step up but still lose, but you gain respect for him in that loss. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar to that here, to let us know, like, hey, this guy can be a player, but I don't think they're ready to make him a player tomorrow.
Yeah.
Literally tomorrow.
Yeah. And if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like a lot of times when guys do go up from junior to heavyweight and they kind of have that first big heavyweight match, they don't always win that match. And it takes them a while to kind of get used to the heavyweight competition.
Unless you're Shingo and you're going up against Kojima and that's your graduation. Then you win.
Yeah. But even then, like, I think he went to G1 after that. I think he was kind of like 50-50 in that G1. And
he lost, like, quite a bit after that.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I think that if I had to put money on it, I think Shingo would probably get the win here.
I think Shingo's going to win. I also wouldn't be surprised if we saw some sort of interference or cheating tactic or something from Drilla Maloney along the way as well.
Yeah, obviously Clark is not on the car anywhere, so maybe Clark will be a second and maybe try to help him get a win here.
But I'm still expecting a great match and a really great outing from Drilla. I think that this is like I said, it's a huge test.
Yeah. So then following that, we'll have Great Okan versus Shota Umino. They have a 1-1 singles record, so this will be a rubber match between these two guys.
They've only wrestled each other one time each.
Yeah, so they've had 2 singles matches. I think probably as their main characters, they've probably wrestled more as Young Lions.
Well, I'm trying to think about that. Like, was Shota Umino and Oka wrestling at the same time? Probably not, right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I'm like, did we see Oka beat Shota Umino's ass a bunch of times is what I'm wondering. Because he would have been his senior, right?
Umino, I think Umino would have been Okan's senior.
Would he?
I feel like they were in the same class. Because didn't they go on excursion around the same time?
No, because they both went to the UK. Shota Umino went after him.
So I'm going to a cage match right now. So cage match they had one singles match in 2018 in Rev Pro, and then the other match was last year in July.
whose cage match are you looking at?
I just looked up Great O'Khan versus Shota Umino.
Okay, but what about Oka?
Well, I think it would have popped up.
So you got to look under Oka's mat. You got to go to Oka's cage match or Okan's, and then you got to go to his matches and then put in Umino and search that and see what that, and then change it to singles and see if that pops anything. Because the Okan and the Oka name are different. They won't both show up under Umino's because they're different names. But Umino's always had the same name.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get that to pull up. Let's see on Okan's.
And basically, this is all for us to talk about something other than having to actually.
Let's see. This Rev Pro Excursion. Let's see. Tomioka Oka.
Right. Are you looking under Okan's cage match?
Yeah.
And you go to his matches. And then in the header, just put in Umino and search. And then change it to singles matches. Step. I'm a cage match. I can navigate cage match like that.
All right, hold on. I'll get in there. Match Constellation.
Yeah, match Constellation 101, and you'll see.
Here we go. They had a Young Lions Cup match in
I knew it.
2017. Oka beat Umino.
I knew, but it was only just the one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because they're different generations. I think Okan was like getting ready to leave for his excursion by the time that like Shota Umino was getting ready to do his thing.
Yeah, so that was on a Lionsgate project. Remember those?
Yeah. I love Lionsgate Project. I wish they bring that shit back.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about it was like when they bring in the tradition guys.
Yeah, the dudes in like the dragon suits and the dinosaur suits and stuff.
or they bring in Masa Saito's brother.
Yeah.
Fucking old ass. But there's still cool stuff on that shit. Anyways, I'm not excited for this match. I like Okan. I think Okan's taken some strides here in the past year. Obviously, his character work is always, top notch. I think the current state of United Empire is very much in flux and kind of in question. And he's being tasked with having to work this guy that shat the bed in the Tokyo Dome. And he's kind of carrying the whole, he's sort of doing the same thing the Young Bucks and LIJ are having to do, where he's playing the LIJ. He's carrying the entire feud. But the difference here is that the Young Bucks are in America and they're completely silent. And here, Shota Umino is right in front of him, wrestling him every night, and he's also silent.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the same thing, but I don't imagine this is going to be some blowaway match. Like I've kind of resigned myself to what Umino is, and it's kind of got a little bit of that Sonata in him. gonna work up to the level of the person he's with, if that.
Yeah. I think the more interesting booking would be to have Okan win and just kind of do a total downfall of Umino, and the whole year is trying to rebuild and get kind of the right look for him and get him in the right path. But I like you were mentioning earlier, I feel like it's one of these stories where he's just going to win and we're going to move on and he's going to do something different and we're going to forget all about what, Okan was trying to do.
He faced an adversity. Okan was trying to get in her skin, blah, 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 blah. He wins. And then, I don't know, whatever the fuck comes after that,
New Japan Cup.
Yeah, he's going to go to the New Japan Cup, whatever. So, I mean, if you really tracked the entire last year of Umino's run, it's so fucking weird. It's like feud after feud after feud that are just meaningless and forgetful. And, what did the Narita feud lead to? What did the feud with Naito or John Moxley or Will Ospreay? This shit happened and it almost feels like it didn't,
Yeah, is this only great feud with Will Ospreay?
Yeah, the feud with Evil. I don't know, bro.
Yeah, I think the Ospreay feud's like the only great feud he's had.
It's the Gabe Kidd feud.
So I think we're both Umino on this one.
I expect Umino to win. I hope he loses though.
Yeah, I would be totally cool with him losing.
I think he needs it. I think he needs the loss.
Yeah.
He needs to take his medicine.
Then following that, we're going to have Sonata versus Taichi. They have a 5-1 singles record with Sonata having the 5 wins over Taichi.
Sonata's going to win here. And, this could either go really bad or it could be pretty good. Like, it's going to be one of those two things. I don't know what to expect here, really. I don't think I've ever seen a match between them where I was really impressed, though.
Yeah, I think that their matches have always kind of been fine. I think based off what they've been doing on the road twos, I feel like Taichi is going to lose his cool again, and his anger is going to end up. He's going to be like a bull in China shop, and I feel like Sonata's going to slip one over him, kind of use his anger to his advantage, kind of, take advantage of the momentum and maybe like get a schoolboy or do something to where use a ref to the advantage, something like that. He's going to use Taichi's anger against him, and he's going to get the win that way. So, yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Rambone says, if Taichi does the JOB for Sonata on Tuesday, how likely is it that we're going to see his time in New Japan come to an end? They haven't given Taichi much to do lately, and the fact that a match with CSJ hasn't even been teased despite their long history seems like a signal that the company doesn't see much of a future for him. Or is it more likely that Taichi versus CSJ is something being held off for a post-title Zack?
Okay, well, what if... I know that I'm probably like... I haven't been apt to do this, but, we oftentimes do see singles matches that are occurring on the undercard with no titles at stake play a role as a de facto number one contendership match for later in the evening, especially on these bigger shows. What if the winner of this match is getting a title shot against the winner of the title at the end of the night? And what if that is Taichi?
I mean, yeah, you could do that. But I just feel
if hypothetically Zack isn't defending the title against the junior champion, or, he's not doing the champion versus champion match, he's going to need to find something to do for the anniversary show. What the fuck is that? Because that's the new question now that match is off the table.
Yeah, I mean, even if Zack is going in as champion to that show.
I mean, look, Sonata wins again. We already did the whole Sonata thing. What's he going to do? Play Challenger of the Month for March? What's his next move?
Maybe he goes after Tsuji.
He could.
Or Takeshita.
Is he even around? He'll be there, right?
He's on his card, yeah.
Yeah. Why would you go after them when you could go after the big belt? You've already held it. You were world champion for like a year.
Because you a geek.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, if Zack retains, and maybe it's not Zack, like, maybe Goto's going to win here. There was one point where I was very high on that. I'm not as high on it now. Zack wins. What's he doing March 6th?
Yeah, I think he has somebody on this card.
Maybe now is the time that you have Taichi win and then just pull the trigger and he could be the next, contender of the month. And people will be happy because they get the long-awaited feel-good match that they've wanted for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I just feel like with what they're trying to do with Sonata, I feel like they're probably going to want him to win.
And see, that's the funny thing is, like, some matches, like, for instance, the Gabe match with Shingo, or with Tsuji, and then the Shingo match with
Drilla.
Maloney with Drilla, and then even like the Zack and Goto match. Those are matches I'm really, 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 really looking forward to. And yeah, I'm thinking about the future and the outcomes, but the matches themselves are the allure. With this, some of these other matches, like the one that you just described to me, where it's Shingo and Taichi, I'm not overly enthused for that match, and I'm trying to figure out what the prospects coming out of it even would be. So it's more about the fallout than the match itself.
Yeah, because obviously, clearly, one of these guys are going to move up the card, and there's probably, some kind of title challenge for whoever is going to win. Like you mentioned, we have lots of champions on this card. There's a lot of special singles matches, a lot of guys not in the title picture. I expect a lot of post-match challenges throughout the night.
What other non-title matches are happening on the evening? Just Shingo and Drilla?
Shingo, Drilla, Tanahashi, Makabe, Okan, Umino. So 4 non-title matches getting off the show there with winners that could potentially go in the title pictures.
I'll just tell you this. If I had to pick out of all of those one guy to face another one for the big boy belt, then that match is going to be Zack and Taichi. So I guess maybe that's what I'm rooting for now. I didn't see it as like an actual viable possibility, but now that it's here, why don't we just do that? That would be cool.
Yeah. I think it'd be a better option than Sonata winning.
Because what's the alternative? Like, who's going to wrestle? Who's going to wrestle Zack in March? Unless you want to dust off the Kenny call, bring him in.
Yeah, or Cobb's not. I mean, they kind of moved Cobb out of the TV picture. He could lose up.
Oh, he can't challenge for the world title after losing a title challenge to ELP, and then doing such a bad job on commentary on last week. You can't do that. It's not right.
Well, let's start getting into the title matches here. So the first title match of the evening, we got the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles, the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles, taking on Roppongi Revice, our good friend Rocky Romero and Yo.
Yo's a hoe. And Rocky is basically a no-show, so we got to go. There's no way Roppongi Revice is winning this shit. Like, it's not possible.
Yeah, I think they're just, challengers of the month. Highly expect, Robbie and Fujita to retain, especially after the main event from Korakuen and the kind of momentum that Fujita has for himself going right now. I definitely think that, Ichiban Sweet Boys will get the win here.
Maybe if Alex Kozlov was here.
Maybe if it was Trent Beretta.
Or Trent Beretta, it'd be a different story.
Then following that, we'll have the Never Openweight Championship match. Konosuke Takeshita will defend against Boltin Oleg. They have a 1-0 singles record, with Boltin having that one win over Takeshita from last year's G1.
I do not fucking remember that.
Man, it was a huge upset. It was a really fun matchup. Very surprised win there. Boltin kind of taking advantage of the midsection of Konosuke, hitting his big moves and getting that big upset win.
Well, I was live in the building watching Takeshita wrestle a big muscular powerhouse by the name of Powerhouse Hobbs, that is, and match kind of under-delivered. So hopefully this is not quite the underwhelming display that match was, and we see something that is worthwhile. It's getting to the point where, he's got some time, some miles on the road, some minutes under his, match length, and he's got some tread on the tires. It's time to kick those tires and see what the fuck we have when it comes to Oleg Boltin, and, stop handling him with such kid gloves. I know that they make him look good a lot of the time, but it's time to kind of nudge him out there and see if he can swim or not. And probably not a better guy to try that with than Takeshita. So this, again, there's a lot of guys who are facing some stiff tests on this evening, and this might be the toughest one, because for as much talent and athleticism and power that Oleg Boltin has, and his aptitude, he's shown to be, that he does show a propensity for being able to be a good wrestler. We haven't quite seen him put it all together just yet. And this is an opportunity in a big match and a big show with a world-class opponent to really see if he can go.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's time to take the training wheels off of this guy. And like we talked about in G1 last year, I feel like they kind of gave him very formulaic plug-and-play matches, which is fine for kind of a first tour like that. You kind of want to make him look good, like you mentioned, and kind of guide him to good matches. And now I think it's time to, it's time to get rid of the templates, the kind of the plug-and-play, kind of easy templates, take the training wheels off, and throw him out there in the deep end. He's deep on this card here. Match number 7 on the night here. So he's deep in the card. It's a big spot, big star. Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity to see that, all right, what does this guy got? Like, what is the future prospects for this guy? Because obviously we all have him marked down as a star based off the look and some of the stuff that he can, do, his power. But all right, now it's like, can he do it when the bell rings? Or is he going to end up being a flop?
A Lex Luger, if you will.
Yeah. So, I'm going to go for Takeshita to retain, get that win back.
The international title on the line?
Nah, just never.
Why? I don't understand. Tony can book the strong title any fucking time he wants. Why can't we just book the international title on our show? Like, the fuck is that?
I don't know. You have to talk.
He's going to retain anyways. It doesn't matter. It's the double crown. Why can't he defend the double crown in New Japan? I don't understand.
The never international.
Yeah. The dose. Deuce.
Following that, we'll have the IWGP Tag Team title match. The Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, will defend against the LIJ team of Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito.
We already kind of ripped a hole into the whole build, so there's no need to really do much more of that. I don't know, because it's on the one hand, the Young Bucks retain, cool, right? I love the Bucks, but I don't love the Bucks holding the titles, for lack of a better term. We've said it so many times before, but essentially hostage. And I don't even know if it's them. It feels weird, right? I don't want to be the Bucks are holding this hostage. They're the problem, because I know that there are probably some people out there that want to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the heat and the history and the split and blah blah blah. But I don't even know if it's that. I don't know if it's an AEW thing, or if it's a New Japan thing. They just don't have good creative and no one's reached out to them. I don't know who's at fucking fault here.
Maybe Gato's just never called them and been like, hey, can you send a promo in?
They're if they're not going to ask, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
I don't know who's at fault here, but what I don't want to see is these guys retain, and then instead of them coming back and working, the next month like they did here, we don't see them till Dominion. And then it's fuck, we don't got tag titles. And these and there's no interactions from these guys. So that's where my fear is on the one end. On the other end, you've got the husk of LIJ. Two broken down ass fools. And I know they're important to a lot of people and they really are needed, and it would be beneficial to the company for them to have those belts from a drawing perspective, but I also don't know what the fuck those matches look like. I can tell you I haven't been sitting there with bated breath watching these LIJ preview tags all throughout the tour, watching them, yuck it up with Hanma every night.
Yeah, you got a team there of bad knees, bad necks, bad eyes.
Yeah. Bad fucking pec, pectoral, shoulder. So I don't know what to expect here. And then I imagine most likely it's going to be LIJ winning, because how much more often do I expect to see the Young Bucks coming around? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I guess if they win, what's the next big match you could do with them?
Right. And this was supposed to be, in theory, the big money match that was on the table, the one that they kind of teased back when they made that appearance in California. And the whole reason why I hated the idea of, shoehorning LIJ into that 1-5 match without advertising it, without building, it just kind of happened. There was no reason for it to occur that way. And it kind of made the rose fall off, the bloom fall off the rose, or whatever the fuck that saying is, when it comes to the LIJ versus Young Bucks match. To me personally, the much better booking decision on that show would have been Bucks work the United Empire. They have a great match. They stand tall, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, LIJ music hits, and you get the big standoff with those two teams. You could have even just had LIJ stand at the ramp and point at them while they're having their fucking celebration. And that would have been enough to be like, oh shit, we're getting this in the future. We don't have that. And then we had no build. So what other big tag team match is there on the table for the Young Bucks to stick around and work? What's worthwhile? Who's out there?
Hasten Nichols.
I hate to say it, but womp womp.
Great Bash heel.
At the same time, I'm also wondering, like, what's the great programs that we have in store for LIJ once the dust settles and they are carrying the gold straps. I hate to be a downer, but this, we're not where we need to be when it comes to the tag team division in New Japan circa 2025. I know it's always touch and go, up and down, but right now we're in a down. We need to be back up.
What about, they did tease that whole Bucks versus Kenny and Tanahashi. What if that's the direction?
That would be great. I think that's more appealing to like a Western audience than it is the Japanese fans, but I could be wrong on that. Who knows? I would be fine with that if that's where we're going. But I think they dropped the belts. I think that was something that they wanted to do back then. It fell apart for whatever reason. I think probably don't get back around to doing that. And I don't know. LIJ are going to have the titles. I don't know who they're going to fucking defend against. And I don't know.
Tenkozy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Save us, Jake Lee.
Jake Lee. Oh, man. So, following that, we'll have some.
Is this match even going to be good? That's the other question.
I think so. It's a Bucks.
I know it's the Bucks, but it's also Naito and Hiromu in 2025. Can they do it? Can they still go out there and do this? Is it a plug and play situation where it does not matter how broken down they are? They can just do it, or are we going to be talking about how this really wasn't at the Young Bucks level of expectation? We didn't even hit the gentleman. You know how some people have the gentleman's 3?
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks have like the gentleman's 4 for them.
I think we can get the 4 stars.
You think we can get your standard quasi fair, just plug and play 4-star Bucks match out of this shit?
We're gonna get. I don't think we're gonna get our 2017 Ring of Honor TV 4-star match here.
I don't think we're getting it. I just don't have the faith and belief that they can do it, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I have faith. I have faith in the Bucks. All right, so main event.
You got faith in those knees. You gotta ask.
So my main event, IWGP Global Heavyweight Title match on the line. Yota Tsuji will defend against the Madman Gabe Kidd, a 12-8-1 singles record. Tsuji in favor.
I think Gabe Kidd's gonna win this title.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, it could go either way, and I'm fine with it. This is one of those situations where the door is wide open to do something really fun, really cool, and really interesting with either guy, no matter what the booking decision is. So you've got so many different potential story paths that you could follow the thread down. The only reason I'm saying that I think that Gabe is going to win it's just so Gato to put the title on a guy for the first time and then have them get their heart broken right away. You know, they win their first major title. It's not the world title. It's the secondary title.
Mm-hmm.
And then in their first defense, they lose it. And now they're back underneath. Now they've still got something to prove. Now they got to get back to where they were. And as much as it would be about Gabe ascending, and some people probably see it that way, I'm think of it. Man, I'm so tired. Thinking of it more from the Tsuji standpoint, where it's like he faltered the first time he had the title on the line, and now he's got to get back to where he was, and he has something to chase again.
Yeah, I feel like both these guys are in kind of a need to win situation. I think these are two of the top young stars, and I think the build for this has been great, and there's been a lot of great interviews and promos from these guys in the last couple of days, and a lot of stuff from the press conference. And I feel like both guys are stars. I feel like the crowd is really taking to both these guys and has been excited about this feud. And I feel this is a situation where I want both guys to win this match and carry on the momentum that they've been building from Wrestle Kingdom weekend. I don't know. I'm more leaning towards Tsuji just because I feel like with Gabe Kidd, he is so polarizing right now and is still riding off the wave of the Kenny match. I feel like he can still lose here and there be still a story and momentum going forward, where I feel like with Tsuji, I could see him getting kind of lost in the shuffle for a little bit if he were to lose here.
Well, if you recall last week, I think I said almost the exact same sentiment, and I stand by it. I agree with you. I'm not thinking about what makes sense from our perspective. I'm thinking about Geto's booking patterns and how often has he done something like this, where give someone a title, they were chasing it for all this time, they finally got it, and then boom, heartbreak, because he might potentially see that person as being needing to chase, needing to have something to go after. That's kind of like his MO. He's done that a lot in the past. And I'm just thinking about history, and I'm like, I don't know. That just seems very Geto. Plus, I don't think the world title's changing hands, and I don't think we've predicted very many other titles to change hands. Something's probably going to switch. Most, it's not like there are shows where sometimes no titles switch hands, but I think this one probably is. So that's just it. Like, I could be wrong. It's fine if I'm wrong. And I agree with you. I do think that Gabe has the propensity to handle the loss in a more assured way and still come out of it strong, provided they give him the right booking direction. But they might just strike while the iron's hot, put that title on him now. That would probably also be a great way to start the rift between himself and David Finlay if he were perhaps to obtain the title that David Finlay lost, and defeat the guy that David Finlay was unable to best. And there's story elements there. And then you have, the whole thing where Tsuji needs to recompose himself and get back to the form that he was at on January 4th. So I don't know. I think that's the story they're going to tell.
Yeah, I think one thing that kind of dissuades me from going with Gabe is he does have that albatross around his neck known as the strong openweight title. And, they're building the whole Ishii match in Windy City Riot. And I just feel like they're just not going to put the global title on him, kind of being strong champion and trying to build that feud and build that matchup. Maybe I'm wrong.
You ever seen Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
That man liked to carry two belts around.
Yeah.
Just imagine the promos that this man can cut with two belts around his shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great, and they could definitely do that, but I feel like they tend not to have, like, the strong singles champion be a double champion, and I don't know. I just feel like that whole title and show is kind of preventing him from moving forward.
What are you talking about? We saw the strong champion with 3 titles at one point.
It did?
Yeah, his name was the Mad King, Eddie Kingston, and he held he held the American Triple Crown.
Forgot about that. Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, but maybe that was not a New Japan decision. I don't know. Maybe you're right there. Maybe you're right, Jeremy. I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Tsuji.
I'm going Gabe Kidd. So we'll see who shall prevail.
All right, we have a few questions here. At Cray Reynolds 801 on Blue Sky, it is widely speculated that it is only a matter of time until Gabe Kidd turns face. Any thoughts on what the ideal timing is for the turn, and do you think it's just him turning face, or will they try to turn the entire War Dogs into a face faction?
I like the idea of him not needing to be with the War Dogs.
Yeah, I think the War Dogs act works better as heels, and I feel like all of them kind of have that great kind of just dumb jock heel energy. And so it would be so great to just have that angle where all of them just turn on him. He thinks that, his dojo boys are gonna have his back, Clark and all those guys are gonna have his back, and it's all, they gave him the Batista, or the Randy Orton thumbs up, thumbs down, and they just leave him lying. I think that would be a great turn.
I'd like to see him turn on them and sting them.
Be ahead.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Kind of like what Sting going into the War Games thing where he didn't want to join them. Is that what you're talking about?
Not necessarily that. Just like, I don't know if you recall, but Sting would drop out of the fucking rafters and just start backhanding the fuck out of everybody. Mm-hmm. And every single person in the NWO would just bump and feed for him. And doesn't matter that it's Kevin Nash, Macho Man Randy Savage, Scott Hall, Scott Norton, and Crush Brian Adams, all in there. They're all fucking bumping. They're all falling out of the ring, and all Sting is doing is going.
Yeah.
I would like to see something like that. I would like to see him Stone Cold Steve Austin, where you think he's going to get his ass beat, but then he runs in and he beats down the whole corporate ministry. There goes Boss Man. There goes Val Venus. There goes
Midian.
Midian, all of them. There goes Gangrel.
Cope.
Yeah. Big Cope, all of them. Big Vis.
Yeah.
He beats all their asses.
Farouk.
That's what we need. Yeah. The first black world champion in WCW history. Nah, son.
Hold a stunner.
Get this stunner. You get this stunner.
Oh, man. Les Commission asks, this is in Gabe Kidd's interview last week. He stated that the Rayo Musketeers are him, Tsuji, and Uemura. I completely agree with that, but my question is, do you agree with that, or do you think the original Rayo Musketeers are Tsuji, Umino, and Narita?
I don't know that it matters. I mean, how many generations of Musketeers are we going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like it's just a gimmick at this point. They're just trying to throw some branding out there. I mean, if you look at it domestically, I think Tsuji, Uemura, and Narita, Tsuji, Umino, and Narita domestically are the three guys. But then also, if you throw in the LA Dojo guys, I mean, Gabe Kidd is right up there with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I see what he's saying and everything, and he went through the dojo system, so he's got the right and the claim to feel homegrown and everything like that. But same time, I'm gonna keep saying it, Gabe's white. That's just not about to change, And then the other thing too is I don't know, the whole entire thing about the Musketeers, I love the idea of Shibata and Nakamura and Tanahashi being these larger than life characters that were the new generation Musketeers, but they never amassed or reached the heights or levels of importance collectively that Chono and Hashimoto and fucking Muto did in their heyday. It's not quite the same thing. And it's sort of like, how many times have you seen Vince McMahon add the word new to a tag team?
The New Rockers.
The
new
LOD.
Blackjacks,
the new LOD. And they always fucking sucked, bro. So it's do you want to be the new? They're not even the new Musketeers. They're the new new Musketeers. You don't want to be the new. Just be some other shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I wasn't really watching them, but I don't feel like they called like Tanahashi, Nakamura, and Shibata, the Musketeers, on camera and tried to make it part of like a storyline or part of their gimmicks.
They kind of did, yeah. Like over time, yeah. But it is what it is, you know. Yeah. I mean, it didn't last very long. You know, fucking Shibata, you know, that man went to go fight in MMA.
Big Mouth Loud.
He went and started Big Mouth Loud. Like, he was gone. He's probably one of the only aces I've ever seen of a company where he was the ace, but he had a job to everybody. You know about that shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about that.
Every big star came in and beat his ass.
I also asked if Big Suji defeats Gabe, do we get a sign of respect through a handshake due to their Young Lion days, slowly teasing the Gabe Kid babyface turn?
Very possible. I would say it's also possible that we get a sign of disrespect at the end as well. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's on the table, especially, you know, Gabe Kid's really been opening up about, you know, how much he loves New Japan. Also, he has the lion mark on his trunks now. And so he wants to represent New Japan. He agrees that Tsuji is kind of right up there with him as somebody that should be kind of helping build the company up. So maybe we do get that kind of sign of respect.
If he wants to prove his true love for the company, he does one of two things. He gets both of them are a tattoo. It's just a decision. Does he get a tattoo a la Hinare? And he gets like a portion of the lion mark on his mouth and in his nose and underneath there? Or does he just get the full logo, but on his neck, like he's fucking Cody Rhodes? Which of those two things you think he should do?
I would think that the neck would be better than, I don't know how the lion mark on the face would end up looking.
It would just be down here, you know?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the whole logo. It would just be the bottom of like the lion's mouth. And put that there. That'd be sick. You want to show your fighting spirit, you know, your Tamashi.
Yeah, put the logo on your neck. Put the attendance number of this night on your arm. Well,
I'm gonna get a tattoo of our biggest download episode on my calf.
Oh my gosh. So main event, IWGP World Heavyweight Title. Oh, actually, got one more Gabe Kidd question here. Barry says, did you catch the latest interview with Gabe Kidd on the NJW 1972 and also on World? If so, based on how he talked with praising people like Ishii, Tanahashi, with less talk about slapping the interviewer, etc., do you see this as a step one to him turning?
I do. But I'd like him to maintain his edge as he turns. You know, I see him as being an anti-hero style character, you know, like a mid-90s Taz or a Stone Cold Steve Austin, a guy that, you know, still beats ass. And I hope that's kind of where they keep him.
Yeah, I think that's what's gotten him over. And even being, you know, edgy and disrespectful, the crowd still loves him. So I wouldn't, you know, do this whole, like, you know, 180, have him be this white meat baby face and, you know, shaking hands, kissing babies. Like, no, let him be the madman. So now for the world title match, Zack Sabre Jr. defending against Hirooki Goto. Rambone Slam Pig says the G in IWGP stand for Goto. Mother says that the G's in Keeping It Strong Style stand for Hirooki Goto. Last Commission 7252 says, I'm rooting for my boy Hirooki Goto to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. My heart is saying Goto, but my brain says Zack to retain. Do you guys think that Zack losing the title is worth giving Goto his moment, as it will be an amazing moment for Goto? His reign won't be as long as we hope for. Should Zack retain to lose it to a top heel in the company?
Yeah, those are great questions. First off, I want to say I'm looking very much forward to this match. I think it's going to deliver big time. These guys have had a long series of matches. They've always been very, very good to great. couple of those matches, like the one in Rev Pro and then the one from what year did you get married, Jeremy?
22.
Yeah, from that year's G1 was like one of their best New Japan matches, was in like literally like the same week that you got married, because I remember watching it on the way to go to your wedding. And I think that with the stakes involved and where they're at in their career trajectories, I feel like this could really deliver. But the big question is coming out of it, like, is it time for Goto to finally win the big belt, get the big moment, and be ready to kind of be that transitional champion? And we already know now that there is not going to be the champion versus champion match in March. So hypothetically, that could even open up the avenue for a potential title challenge or two before April, if needed, for either guy. So I see the logic in people thinking that it might be Goto, and I'd be stunned and happy. But I feel like it's going to be Zack. And I am still wondering like what the what the outcome of all this. I think long term, I think whoever's winning the New Japan Cup is going to defeat whoever the reigning champion is at that time, whether it is Zack or Goto. So this is a pretty important match to kind of determine who's carrying that belt in to drop it to whoever is probably going to be a somewhat long-term champion in the company coming out of April. So there's big stakes here.
Yeah, and I'm like you. I'm kind of like Les Commission too. Like I kind of want Goto to win. Like I feel like a lot of the build has been based off can he finally do it, and obviously we see the results here. This crazy sold out house, and I feel like a lot of that is on the strength of this Goto story. We saw last year the great resurgence and just the way the crowd reacted to him in the New Japan Cup Finals and G1 and the Dave Finlay feud. Like the crowd has really, really been getting behind him, and I think he's partly credit to do for this great house that we're gonna have here on this show. And so it's like, all right, do you have him finish the story, get that big win, and obviously you don't have to have him have a super long title run. He can drop that thing at the anniversary show. He could drop it at Sakura Genesis, and you kind of move on. But I think there could be some kind of magic to capture with him finally winning, becoming champion, having this emotional moment, and then you use that to get heat for somebody to finally to get the belt off him real quick, whether that's like Finlay or some other heel that you really want to get over. That could be a great way to have him go V0, crush his dreams that you finally won, but you couldn't defend it, and I think that'd be a great way to get heat. But at the same time, I feel like Zack has done such an incredible job as champion. He might not be the biggest draw for certain shows, but he's there every tour, has great matches, great asset to the company, and I don't know if we're kind of in the youth movement right now, and do you want to put the title on an older Goto when we're trying to get things younger?
Well, I think the thing with that is if you do put it on Goto, hypothetically, let's say, one of the strength points that I'd made in the past about the whole thing with Sonata was that you put the title on Sonata, you book him as a strong champion, he drops the title to whoever the meaningful challenger is. This is before we knew that was going to be Naito, right? Mm-hmm. And then now you've got a ready-made guy that doesn't necessarily need to ever win the title again, but he can be a viable contender. He can be that gatekeeper, the person that you need to beat to get to the very, very tip-top level, and sort of play that role for all of the young up-and-comers in the company. That's what my thinking had been back then. And it was like reinforced when they did that all young guy block with him in the block and him defeating everybody. And now we're a couple years removed from that, and that shit is blown. Like without Okada, and with Sonata being a huge failure, and Evil, you know, even though he's a utility guy that you can dust off when you need him to, he's not really the person that you can depend on to get young talent over and get them ready. He's more of a threat to someone that is popular and that the fans want to see win and prevail over him, but he's not someone that can elevate the young talent. They are missing that element. I think that Zack is a component of what is needed to elevate the next level, but he can't do it alone. So if you do have Goto be that guy right now, just by winning the title and having a strong little run going into April, there's no reason that in the fallout of that, not only is he the elder statesman, he's also a former champion, kind of like Shingo, kind of like Zack, where he can be that guard to help prep the next generation and get them to where they need to be. If he loses, yeah, he still is some of those things, but he doesn't have that accolade attached to him to be the stepping stone for those young guys anymore.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting ways to go with either guy. Man,
I'm just going with the gut thing. I think it's Zack. I think it's just like you already had this lengthy title run with him, and sure, like you do the Goto win, and it's wildly popular in the moment, but can you carry that momentum for the next couple months to do business and then award whoever it is that you want your next, you know, we're all pretty much supposing it's probably going to be a top heel, right? Just based on the fact that both these guys are faces, and it would probably be disappointing to see whoever beats them. So which is the more hurtful and meaningful loss? I think from a emotional standpoint, it is Goto. But in the kayfabe of things, to really establish that person, does beating Goto do that, or does beating the long-time successful top guy of the company, is that the more impactful thing? Like, do you go the emotional route, or do you go the prestige route? Because that's really what the question is. Like, is it more prestigious to beat Zack Sabre Jr. on the big stage, or is it better for Heat to beat Goto and to break his heart? And which way do we think the booking's going?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Because it does not mean as much to beat Goto as great as it would be for the heat of it all, to establish that heel as being truly heelish. It does not mean as much to beat Goto on that, you know, in April, if that's what we think is happening, as it does to beat Zack.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, the logical choice here, I think, is Zack. But, yeah, there is still a part of me that wants to see Goto get the win.
I'm gonna be rooting for Goto. I think it's gonna be Zack. And that's just I don't know, it's just my gut. They've never gone with Goto before. I've seen him fail so many times. And if he couldn't beat Okada with all that fucking paint on his body, I don't...
Will he bust out the paint tonight on this night?
I don't know. Like, you know, if busting out the paint and sitting under the waterfalls didn't fucking do it for him, I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
I guess he could do it here.
Well, it's
going to be a great match.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a match of the year contender.
I think it's going to be a really great show, even though there's like some things that I'm not necessarily gung-ho about. You look at the card in totality, it's a great card. It's a really awesome, you know, B+ level show for New Japan at this juncture of the year. And I think they've really put something great on paper here.
Yeah. Well, that is going to do it for our New Beginning in Osaka preview and predictions. We'll get into some other stuff here and get ready to wrap the show up. We got our announcements for Fantastica Mania 2025, which will be happening after A New Beginning in Osaka. Hit the music. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. A little bit of sad news. They are only airing 2 nights of Fantastica Mania.
What? I thought they were airing like 4 of them.
No, they're only based off what they have on the schedule, they're only airing the 2 Korakuens.
Wow.
So
that's surprising.
Yeah. So as of now, we're not going to see the tag team tournament or any of the kind of the undercard stuff building up.
I'm gonna be okay. I don't need to see another family / brother / son, father / stable / wacky team up tournament. That's not going to mean anything in the long term. Let's get to the real shit.
Well, that's what's happening. So Thursday, February 27th from Korakuen, we have a main event of Volador Jr. versus Templario. We're going to have Ultimo Guerrero versus Atlantis Jr. Got the Black Cat Memorial match with Tanahashi, Mystico, Mascara Dorada, and Stigma versus Taiji Ishimori, Averno, Soberano Jr., and Raider. We're going to have a lightning match with Sandokan Jr. and Neon. The MLW Tag Team titles on the line. Satoshi Kojima and Akamura will defend against Rujito and Magnus. Barbaro Cavernario and El Desperado will take on Hechicero and Ninja Mac. And Zulia and Max Star versus Teton and Kamatachi. And then on Friday, February 28th, the main event, the MLW Middleweight Championship on the line. Mystico defends against Averno. Mascara versus Soberano Jr. Barbaro Cavanero versus Hechicero. Templario, Neon, and El Desperado versus Volador Jr., Rodeo, and Magnus. Atlantis Jr., Stigma, and Ishimori versus Ultimo Guerrero, Satoshi Kojima, and Okamura. Tanahashi, Zulia, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Ninja Mac versus Teton, Sandokan Jr., Mascara, Katsukatsu Tomato, which is Suji, and Kamatachi, and Max Star versus Raider.
Some people out there, they like those flippy-do, luchadors. They like, Dragon Lee, and they like Vikingo, and they like Mystico. I like the big boys, the hard hitters. And for many years now, there have been two that I've been saying my favorite dudes, and I've never seen them wrestle. They're finally locking it up, and it's happening in Japan. We're getting Cavernario versus Hechicero. Let's fucking go. I cannot wait for that match.
Yeah, that should be incredible. Like, those two guys are stellar workers, and yeah, there should be an interesting styles clash, and yeah, it should be a really fun match.
This needs to be for I think the world champion is, oh God, what's Ultimo Guerrero's brother's name? The other Guerrero.
Gran Guerrero.
Yeah, I think Gran Guerrero might be the world champion. I could be wrong, but I think it's Gran Guerrero. But they need to just take that belt off of him and award it to the winner of this match, because this is the real world championship match right here.
Yeah, that's gonna be dope. Very interesting. 2 MLW title matches on these nights.
The world of MLW never stops. You know that.
It never stops. Yeah. So, I mean, these two Corkins look really fun. So. Interesting that we're only getting those 2 shows, but yeah, they'll be a fun watch.
Very likely Templario versus Volador will probably be the match of the weekend. I don't imagine that Averno and Mystico, that's the main event on night 2?
Yes, for the MLW middleweight title.
That match is not gonna rock. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I think Dorado and Soberano Jr. Gonna be pretty sick, along with Cavanaro and Hechicero.
Tanahashi being involved in the Black Cat Memorial is also kind of it's very fitting, because Black Cat played such a pivotal role in the early career of Tanahashi, and was one of his very first regular senior opponents that he faced all throughout his early rookie years, and eventually picked up wins over Black Cat after getting his ass beat by him many times. So he had a huge hand in the early career of Tanahashi, so it makes sense why he's on that match for that show.
Yeah. So that's it.
They should have brought out Negro Casas.
Could that man still move?
Probably, maybe not, but that's the first real name that Tanahashi ever beat in his career. When you start counting down, when guys finally beat an established star.
Yeah.
like for the first two for Tanahashi was like in 2000 he beat Negro Casas, and then in 2001 he beat Scott Hall, and those were like the first two real guys that he ever beat, and he was still like in that quasi rookie, just kind of graduated stage.
Yeah.
So they should have brought him back and had him get his ass beat by Tanahashi one last time. You know,
Pad that record.
Yeah, had that record.
Well, that's it for Fantastic Mania news and no other news. We already covered Kira and Despy versus at the anniversary show. So a few questions here, then we'll get to recommended match of the week. Oscar Rooney says, help me fill out the Tanahashi retirement tour bingo card. A simple yes or no answer. Will we see an Omega match?
No.
I'm going to say yes, but a tag match. A visit to Arena Mexico.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes as well. Also. A title run.
Didn't he already have a title run?
Are you counting the Never Six Man?
Yeah.
I
I think he means a singles title run.
Yeah.
Bring back the U30.
That's turn into the 040.
How old is Tanahashi? Is he in his 40s or his 50s? He's over 40.
Yeah.
How about he's gonna win the Never title from Takeshita in Chicago.
That'd be wild. Yeah, I'll say yes. A visit to 3 or more Japanese promotions. Yes.
No. Tanahashi not showing up in 3 Japanese promotions. He don't give a fuck about those promotions.
There might be people he want to work in at some places.
They can come here and work with him in the ring that matters.
In a cerulean blue. A Nakamura match.
No.
Yeah, I'm saying no. And then the last one, will he be in the ring in Korakuen for the traditional snowfall?
No.
Yeah, no.
I don't see a lot of this stuff happening, but maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
I would have loved for him to have been in the Royal Rumble is what I would have liked.
Oh my gosh.
Just one time,
What if he's retiring to go to WWE?
But he's still going to stay New Japan's president?
Yes.
All right.
MJ says, Young Lion question, where would you send Murashima and Kato? Knowing their timelines might be different due to Kato's injury, both feel like they have very low ceilings. Do you think they'll get sent off this year?
Just fucking send them both to Mexico. There really is nowhere else to send them. Like, that's the only place. If you want to have someone come back and be good, then they need to go to Mexico. If you want them to come back and be mid, send them to Rev Pro.
Yeah, I think CMLL is the right call. And then last 2 questions here from Doc. Who do you expect to go furthest in the New Japan Cup? I think we might be looking at a pretty killer lineup considering who will be healthy by April.
Who's he referring to?
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like that many heavyweights are injured right now.
Well, I mean, there were, like, Henare was hurt, and so was the dude from fucking United Empire.
Prince of Pace.
The fast kid.
Yeah. Callum Newman.
I don't know. Maybe he's talking about Jake Lee.
Maybe.
He is probably talking about knowing him. He's like, it's going to be a killer lineup knowing who's going to be healthy by that time. Jake Lee. It's like, oh my God. All right. Yeah, I think that I think Finley's winning the New Japan Cup.
Yeah, based off of, I think Finley's a good challenger for either Zack or Goto coming out of Osaka. So yeah, especially after the whole story from last year, I think Finley coming back and winning is probably what's happening.
Goto wins. You got a Japanese champion for Finlay to beat, if that's the way you want to go about it.
Yeah. And then last question here. He says, what are the boys' feelings on the Filet-O-Fish? And he posted something with Giant Baba apparently loving McDonald's. So he wants to know what.
Yeah. So basically, Giant Baba tried a Filet-O-Fish and thought it was one of the greatest things he ever had. So from that point forward, whenever they were on tour with All Japan, he would always make the bus stop at McDonald's so he could have a Filet-O-Fish.
I can say I've never had a Filet-O-Fish.
Oh, are you fucking serious?
Dead serious.
Damn. Bro, have you ever had seafood, like fast food seafood of any sort?
I mean, I've had like Long John Silver's.
Okay, that's what I mean. Like, have you ever had Long John Silver's?
Yeah.
Damn, I would love some Long John Silver's. It's just so good.
But I don't know. Something about fish and McDonald's, I don't know if I trust that.
Here's the thing with the Filet-O-Fish. Like, when you say the Filet-O-Fish, I just think like that looks and sounds so disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing appetizing about it until you fucking bite into one. When you bite into one, you're like, damn, this shit is fucking good. Like, I don't go out of my way to buy one. Don't get me wrong. Like, I really, these days, I barely eat any fast food to begin with.
Yeah, I feel like you eat pretty clean.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep it pretty clean lately. And, but if I do go to McDonald's, I'm pretty much just going to get like a double cheeseburger. But if you handed me a Filet-O-Fish, would I not tear it up? I would tear that shit up. Like, it's so good. But it's also something like after you get done, you feel so disgusting with you. Not because it's making you sick, but it's just, it's bad for you, you know?
Yeah.
But like, it is good.
All right. Well,
you know what I don't get? Have you ever had the McRib?
Oh, bro. I love
one of those.
I love the McRib, bro.
I knew you were going to be one. I knew it. I do not fucking get that at all. People lose their minds over the McRib.
Bro, love me a McRib.
I remember watching MTV back in the day. I was watching the show with the Osbournes with Ozzy Osbourne and his family.
Yeah.
And they're in a drive-through and the son Jack's like, "Oh my God, you guys, the McRib is back." I just thought that shit was so funny. I've known people who literally buy those and freeze them so they have them for like later in the year.
Nah,
and I
don't go that far.
Disgusting. I don't think the McRib is good at all.
I don't know.
Like, okay, it's not like I wouldn't be disgusted eating it, but I would never order one. Like, I think it's the most mid piece of meat I've ever had. Like, it's just nothing. It's flaccid barbecue fucking gunk. Ugh.
I don't know, man. Something with that sauce, man, they be hitting.
I knew. Bro, anytime we go, for the listeners, anytime we go traveling, right? If me and Jeremy are traveling and it's just the two of us, it's a totally different experience because I can bully Jeremy into eating at places that he's never like tried before. And so I usually win those battles. But if it's me and James and Rich and Jeremy, we end up eating at the
Popeyes.
Worst fucking place. Yeah. But not just Popeyes. But yeah, Popeyes is definitely one of them. But like we end up eating at the worst fucking places. And I'll be like, "Yo, you guys hungry?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they want to eat somewhere that's deep fried. And I'm like, "What about this Vietnamese place over here?"
I want to get some spring rolls.
Yeah. They're like, "Fuck that. We're going to Popeyes."
Oh, man. All right. Well, that's it for the questions. Recommended match of the week. We had the DT.
I didn't watch that shit.
You didn't watch it?
Did you watch it?
I did, yes.
Oh, nice. So you can give us the rundown on it. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, fired up the Wrestle Universe. Yeah, so Ishii versus Yuki Ino here. Never seen Ino wrestle before, and I mean this was essentially your Ishii playbook here. You had two big dudes throwing bombs. You had the the test of shoulder block strength towards the beginning there, and then from there, just unloading big chops. And I mean, Ino was chopping the crap out of Ishii and firing back with the chops to the throat like Ishii does. And so essentially it was, if you closed your eyes and pictured what an Ishii match against a big bulky guy would be, you would picture this match. Like big chops, big lariats, big, fighting spirits, big suplexes, throwing everything out at each other. And this Ino guy was pretty over with the DDT crowd. He had a lot of taunts that had chants with them, and the crowd was chanting. I had no idea what he was saying. He did like a people's elbow type of spot that had like a chant thing, and the crowd like loved it. But yeah, this was an awesome matchup. I'd probably like 4.25, 4.5 range here. So yeah, it was awesome.
So you're saying I need to go watch it?
Yeah, bro. This match was pretty fun.
Well, I'm glad I recommended it. Thank you. You're welcome.
So definitely recommend it. I think it can definitely, as of right now, be a contender for Excursion Match of the Year.
Oh, wow. Well, then I definitely need to see it. Oh, you hear the dog yawning?
Big Zig.
Big Zig. Lil Zig. Yo, did you hear these dudes on One Nation Radio talking shit about my dog?
Bro, I was dying. They're like, James talking about wanting to get heat by stealing the dog.
Bro, he said my dog's frail. The fuck? Ziggy's never done anything to anybody.
You gotta have a story. Right. You gotta have a story for the match. So
it's not right. Rich is talking about wanting heat with the dog. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, Rich has been dying for somebody's dog. Get heat on somebody's dog.
Nah, I actually like screen recorded that entire thing and sent it to Megan.
What'd she say?
She's like, the fuck? She's like, what does that mean? Getting heat on the dog?
Yeah.
Oh man. But no, I don't have another recommended match of the week this week, so I don't know if you do.
I mean, the only thing I saw, I don't think it'll be that good, is Kojima versus Riddle versus Alex Kane for the MLW title.
Oh hell no. I'm not. That first match was terrible. We're gonna add Alex Kane. I thought he was retiring.
He back.
He did retire though, didn't he?
It was some storyline where he got like fired from Eric Bischoff fired him from MLW.
I thought that was a shoot.
No.
You mean to tell me Eric Bischoff doesn't hold any actual real power within MLW?
Bro, the funny thing is there are people who think that like he's like starting to book and they're like, man, MLW is so much better with Eric Bischoff like running the show and booking. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's what they said when Triple H took over. And trust me, it didn't. And trust me, I would know because I talk WWE on this show now. Yeah, someone was in our YouTube and saying these guys shouldn't talk WWE, blah, blah. They don't know. They obviously don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And you know what? It reminded me, I responded with this, but it reminded me of that time on The Office where Pam tells Michael to stop dating her mom. Oh, yeah. He's like, you know what? He's like, I'm going to date her even harder. She's like, what does that mean? He's like, I think you know what that means. That's how I felt. That's how I responded. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start talking WWE even harder on the show.
Yeah, then that guy.
God knows we're not going to talk AEW. Actually, I heard AEW was good this week.
Yeah, Collision was awesome. That crowd was super hot. And Dynamite was really good.
Where were they?
Collision was in Texas. Dynamite was in Atlanta. So you had
I thought they like were supposed to, I thought like the whole thing was like people were like, stop going to Texas. It sucks there.
I don't know. They were in, I think it was Austin, Texas, and they're in Houston on Wednesday, I think. But yeah, Texas was super hot. Wednesday, Rich was there in Atlanta, so the Rich Latta effect for the Wednesday show, and then Floyd was at Collision, so the Floyd Johnson effect there on these two back-to-back great AEW shows.
Makes sense. We carry a lot of sway in those circles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the show here So yeah, no recommended match of the week for this week. Next week we'll be back to review the New Beginning in Osaka. Remember, if you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KI Strong Style, at Social Suplex, and at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/SocialSuplex and the Wrestling Score Circle Facebook group. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, just Keepin It Strong Style. On YouTube, we're at Social Suplex. Join our Social Suplex Discord server, interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy@socialsuplex.com. And check out all those shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio with Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. Imps WWE Adventure with the Implications Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Slings. Tone Talk with Ali and Leah and the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we'll catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
There are some things you wouldn't mind being stuck with, like a large unexpected inheritance. An always on the verge of death phone that has to be plugged in just right so it charges is not one of those things. Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone, up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard, so you can get a new one. Just trade in any phone from our top brands on any unlimited plan. With new line on My Plan. Additional terms apply for trade-in and pay off your phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.